Još nije ne bio ārā kolmeni, viss iespējamais valmēri, kas bija.
Tā jā, kas man jādara, man
Jānoliekas tur.
jau kas
Tur gan. Man redz. Nē, nu mums nav kameras, tev neredzēs arī. Pagāj. Pastāst kaut ko, Pāvil.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Jā, viss skaidrs. Es ignorēju vegānos. Pēc uzņēmums.
Mums jau tikai
We can start. Yeah, someone is on the line as well, or no? Okay, then we start.
Tā ir 2 minūtes vēl.
Okay, then we wait.
Kamera ir vēl. Nekur atbrīvojām. Es iemetu jau. Kur? Tehniku taisīt. Jo šodien pirms.
tas screenshots kaut kāds.
Nu, thumbnails.
Pagājušajā reizē sūdzījos, ka nebija bulciņas. Šoreiz Aleksandrs piegādāja visu, ko vajag.
Es gāju pakaļ.
Pagājušajā reizē vispār nekā nebija.
Mēģināšu stūri attaisīt laptopu.
Pagājušies mums sanāk šitāds.
Ko tu izdarīji?
Es jau lekoju. Šī summa
Mēs attaisām vairs otrs.
Es tālāk pakām. Tālāk,
Okay, hello everyone. Nice to have everyone in this room or in this virtual room. Today we are going to talk about clouds. So as you can see, we have some dark clouds, maybe with some thunderstorm, and hopefully by the end of the presentation we will be able to clear them out with some sun. So, what we are going to talk about. So actually, as you might know, SAP has been working on some cloud initiatives, and actually there is a few things we would like to touch today. So in the core, we would like to talk about, of course, Commerce Cloud version 2. That's the main thing, but in addition, we'll also give a short insight on the other cloud offerings which are already existing from the commerce perspective. So that's Cloud Platform Extension Factory, and this is just a short insight. We'll have a separate technical spaces in some while. We'll talk about that later. and SAP Product Content Hub. So this is also one of the recent cloud solutions which has appeared from the commerce perspective. Then briefly go into release strategy, and then Alexandrs will take over and talk about Spartacus. And yeah, if you have any questions, I guess when we finish topic, how do you organize that, Yanis, usually? Do we hear the guys if they're asking questions, or? I mean the question, QA session, how do you do that usually? By the end of the presentation, or?
However you want.
But the sound goes where? Here, if someone speaks? Can someone try to speak?
Remotely, no, only chat.
Only chat, okay. So you will monitor if there will be some questions, or?
Yeah. You need to change the main name.
I usually do that, but not this time. Okay, so let's start. What is SAP Commerce Cloud version 2? So under the hood, as you might know, this is basically good old SAP Commerce, Hybris Commerce, with similar, kind of same actually extensibility options, although there are some limitations which we will talk about later. But in the essence, just to put a good baseline, that's completely the same tool we run for most of the customers. And it's the same way how you extend it. I mean, how you develop it, right? You have the extensions, you do that locally, and then you deploy it on the server, and then you test it. So that's in essence, just to put the baseline, that's completely the same tool, but there are some technical limitations, and there will be a separate slide for that. What has changed? So the main thing which has changed, it's environment provisioning, deployment and hosting. So that's now fully taken over by SAP. So as you know, in the past, usually Perl was preparing all development, QA, production, pre-prod environments, doing releases there. We're using Jenkins to do deployments, so do it manually. And we're also responsible on configuring basically the servers themselves and so on. So this part specifically is now fully controlled by SAP, so they do it automatically. They have their provisioning engine called Cloud Automation Engine, which actually is doing that. So they provision automatically both dev, QA, prod, and other environments if you need. And they also do the whole build process and deployment process. From the hosting perspective, today Azure is the possible way. Of course, SAP has also on the roadmap to add Google Cloud Platform and hopefully also Amazon at some point. And the licensing model is basically orders or revenue, so there are no more licenses based on course or page views, so this is all gone. So it's only orders or revenue. And of course, in this case, if let's say we have a license for 5 million orders annually, or I don't know, $30 million per year, then if you need 10 cores to run the solution and get that orders, that SAP will supply with this 10 cores. If you need 15 application servers, that will be SAP responsibility to do. So you don't need to pay extra. So you are paying for the number of orders or a number basically of revenue your orders are generating. So how does it work? So here we have a nice basically developer working with the SAP Commerce solution. And of course we have our Git repository where we commit the custom code. And as we mentioned, because it's still the same process, so this part you are very familiar with, right? So you also work the same way more or less today. And what is changing, we have this big thing here, and this is internal thing which we don't see. So this is SAP provisioning environment where they do all the tricks and magic, where they provision new development, new QA, new production environments, where they do the builds and basically where they deploy the builds to the environments and so on. So this is an automatic thing which SAP has built, and they're using it for all the customers. So we as a partner or customer, we don't get access to that directly. But what we do get access to is Commerce Cloud Portal. So that's like a self-service portal where we can connect to and we can control the processes executed here. So we can trigger the build, we can trigger the deployment, we can trigger the provisioning of the new environment and so on. And we have, a nice, or not very nice SAP support, which has some secret UI tool, which can do more things than customers or partners can with the platform, with the cloud portal, not portal, but this provisioning environment. So in essence, again, just to highlight and to avoid any confusion, so when we talk about Commerce Cloud, in essence, from developer perspective, I mean, daily job, it in a way, at least today, it's in a way similar as we work now. So we develop locally, we commit to our repository, and what is changing is basically that instead of going to the Jenkins as you would do now, if you want to do deployment to dev, you would need to go to the cloud portal and trigger build from there. So cloud portal in essence will start the build, will connect to our Git repository, will fetch the code basically and start the build process. When the build is complete, you select, okay, my build is finished, I want to deploy that build to dev environment. And again, you do that as a developer through the cloud portal. Okay, so far so good. Yeah, then briefly about capabilities and limitations. So there are, as we mentioned, there are some limitations. So one of them is that Commerce Cloud version 2 supports SAP Commerce version 6.7 and higher. So if you have lower SAP, your recommendation is you do 2 steps. So one step is that you basically do the upgrade in your on-prem environment to 6.7 or higher. This is one project, so you deploy it to production, it's working fine. And then you start the migration process when you move the data from your data center to the Commerce Cloud data center. So this migration project will be executed together with SAP, but it's not recommended to mix them together. So at least from SAP perspective, so it's better to make your commerce installation compatible to the cloud and then deploy that, run this migration project to move it to the cloud basically. In addition to SAP Commerce, Commerce Cloud also supports Data Hub and it also supports GS Storefront. So you can also do that. So we'll also go into that a bit deeper probably later. And yeah, you have also control. This is also what is a difference from other cloud solutions, right? If you look at the marketing or C4C or others, you're actually forced on the upgrades, right? SAP is doing some releases and then your environment is updated regularly. So here you actually still have some control. If you're running on 6.7, no one will force you that, okay, we are all going to 19.05 from next month, you need to upgrade. So you can control which version you use. So you specify in the Commerce Cloud portal, basically in your Git repository, you say, okay, I'm running on version 6.7. So the build process here will know that and will use 6.7 binaries basically to build the Commerce project. And they also came up with some logging tools. So they have Kibana Elasticsearch where you can basically monitor all your log information. And they are now connected also Dynatrace as an APM tool and basically monitoring tool. Yes, and you basically control, as we talked, the customizations of SAP Commerce Solar Data Hub via this custom repository. And then you basically connect that repository to the self-service portal. And there's one new thing called manifest JSON file. This is actually where you specify the Commerce Cloud version, and then you specify the extensions you would like to include in the build and so on. So in essence, it's kind of similar to local extension, but it gives some extra information to the Cloud portal, because Cloud portal, for example, as we talked, needs to know which commerce SAP Commerce version should I use for the build and so on. Yeah, this is the manifest JSON file. So what do you put in this JSON file? So first thing, you put SAP Commerce version. You can specify basically the version and the patch. So like in this case, or you can just say I want 19.05. I think you didn't even need a 0, and then it will use the latest patch during the build. So you have these possibilities. Then there are extension packs, and the extension packs we'll talk about a bit later. There are a new concept called Cloud Platform Extension Packs, but extension packs also could be, let's say, a telco accelerator. There are separate extensions which you want to include in the build. They also treat it as extension packs, like industry accelerators would be extension packs and so on. So it's kind of addition extensions which you want to include in the build. Then you can specify the list of extensions you want to have, which should be used. Basically today this is done in the local extensions, right? XML. You can specify the add-ons if some add-ons need to be installed on the storefront. So then the build engine within Commerce Cloud will know, okay, this add-ons should be installed. So it will run ant command during the build process to install those add-ons on top of the storefront, for example. And yeah, another thing, the aspects. This is like logical units. When the environment is provisioned, it gives the logical units where your code is deployed, and the logical separation is usually by 4 aspects. So that's a back office where you have your back office running, basically, where your back office people connect. You have the storefront, in essence, you have the API, and then you have the background processing. So it's 4 aspects. Then you also can control within the manifest files which extensions, which configuration you want to apply to each of the aspects. So for example, if you have only back office node, right, like back office aspect, you don't need the storefront application there, then you can exclude it. And then the storefront will not be deployed on the back office aspect. So in essence, I think it's similar as we run now. Please, you guys can also complement. Right, if we have the back office, we might not include some storefront extensions or some integration extensions and so on. The properties, yeah, we specify the properties as well in the manifest file, and I guess this is interesting and important. This was not added in the first run, but you can reuse your local properties and local extensions, because of course you still need those files because you are doing development locally. So instead of creating everything from scratch again and maintaining in 2 places, more or less you can reference, in manifest JSON, you can reference your existing local properties or local extension files. And you can also configure the test or the web test, which also will be executed during the build process if you specify it in the manifest file, like a source test src directory, and for the web as well. So yeah, these are some examples. So like here I can say, okay, I want to use a configuration, right? And this is my local properties file, so please reuse it, right? And then I can also say, okay, this actually is for my dev environment. So there is also configuration like persona, which says that this local file will be applied only on the development environment. And this is in essence my properties file for production, where I have my production web service endpoints, right? So this is needed for the production environment, basically. So this is why you specify this persona. And the aspect is the third dimension, which you can specify which node type, again, to apply it. So you have kind of the flexibility. So you can say, I need this configuration for the back office in production, or I need basically this configuration everywhere in production, but this configuration is specific to my back office node. Yeah, you can customize Solr. So again, in the manifest file, you specify the Solr custom folder location, and you can also add language packs. And you can configure, as we already talked also here, you can configure basically aspects individually. So you can also set the properties, extensions, and so on. So as you can see, this manifest file is kind of a bit broader context than local.properties or local.extension, because this also gives opportunity to control what exactly on which node, on which aspect you would like to install or deploy or configure. I hope it makes sense. Yeah. These guys you need to check. I didn't run tests for that, but at least based on the documentation, apparently when the build process is running, it doesn't get access to the internet. So if you have some Maven dependencies which you want to download from internet, Hybris asks you to verify that these dependencies are available at the Hybris repository. And if you want something extra, you need to talk with the guys from Hybris so they could include it. But guys, we'll talk later. If you want, you will get access. You can also test all these bits and pieces. This is an intro session. Also, intro session will come up at the stage how you can get access to that. You can request it, and then we can learn all this solution together. Okay, so before we switch and go to the demo, so this is a sneak peek how it looks. So this is the self-service portal we talked earlier, right, where you kind of do this all you control the environments, right? You control the builds, security, connect to repository, as you can see, right? From security, it could be some IP filters, it could be some SSL certificates, so you could configure. Hopefully, I think on the roadmap in the future, they said also about VPN. Today, you need to do it through the tickets to establish the VPN connection. Hopefully, it also will be automated to some extent. But yeah, of course, most important are the builds and environments. So environments are my environments. In our test environment, you can see it's per Latvia here trial. In our test environment, this is basically one environment. But if you're live customer, you potentially should have a button, create new environment, and then the cloud automation engine will provision new environment for you automatically. Based on the documentation, they say it should take up to 30-60 minutes to provision new environment. That sounds kind of nice. And of course, provisioning environments means SAP Commerce, it means database, it means basically Solr instances, right? So it's everything basically, full stack. Yeah, we talked about some limitations, right? And of course, I guess the most bad limitation is that we actually don't get access directly to the virtual machines, so operating systems. And also directly again to the databases. I guess you can do some hacks through the hack that you could run something, but like you are not really eligible to get access to the real database, at least based on the agreement. And unfortunately, there are still some limitations on some modules of the commerce feature of the SAP Commerce, which are not supported today in the Commerce Cloud version 2. So these are some examples, and I guess you're familiar definitely with media conversion. So this is ImageMagick. So ImageMagick is not supported at the moment in the Commerce Cloud, and if you Google a bit, there are some also articles giving some alternatives how you could set up media conversion instead of using ImageMagick. And another thing, big one is for some reason, I'm not sure what is the reason, but synchronous order management for SAP ERP or S/4HANA is also not supported at the moment. And this is a bit unclear to me, to be honest, at the moment. Why? Yeah, and some other stuff, we never use those, I think. Subscription billing gateway, entitlement and metering, commerce infrastructure services, CPQ on-prem. Yeah, those we don't use. So I guess for us, those three are most relevant for our current customers. So guys, please, there is a Bitbucket project. So yeah, what has been done from my side? My goal was just to do the first test, right? So I basically run the model again for the 1905 version, created custom Commerce Cloud extension set, and the goal was to deploy it and see that it runs basically. So the project is in our Bitbucket. I created it in Sandbox, but I think Alexander already said that he doesn't get access to that. Arvids, maybe you could help out with that. But basically it's in Sandbox, so please feel free to get access and play around with it further. So in essence, as you remember, we talked that you can run Data Hub, you can run Commerce, and you can configure Solr, right? So and also GS Storefront. So this is what you do in the root. So the core customizes a customization folder for SAP Commerce. If you have also Data Hub in your environment, you need to add extra folders for the Data Hub. If you have like a Spartacus or a React or some other GS Storefront, you can add a third folder there. And then this JavaScript Storefront will be installed then. And yeah, the manifest file should be within the core customize. And this will actually tell how to build, as we already talked. Yeah, another comparisons which I did was the build time. So this is my local machine. I'm doing the build for the Commerce, SAP Commerce solution, right? The same completed thing, which takes 4 minutes. And this is a build I run on the Commerce Cloud, and it takes 24 minutes. So this is just an insight. And so I guess, I don't know, guys, if you agree, to me, it doesn't make sense, Alexander, to do any hosting of JavaScript Storefront here, because this is all run sequentially. So if you want to do some small change in your JavaScript Storefront, you need to wait so much time. This doesn't make sense at all. But yeah, this is how it looks. Some insight, yeah, about the provisioning, as we talked. So basically, I also attached the link, so later when Alexander Stoyanis will share the presentation, please feel free. I think they're quite useful articles to read. So this is one good source, and later also touch another one if you haven't heard of that. It's enablement portal, basically. But in essence, in development environment, they state they have 2 virtual machines and 1 database. And here you can see those aspects, right? So this is a storefront aspect where we have basically the storefront usually, that's back office, the background processing, we will run the background jobs, right, and the API. And these are all containers, but of course, technically we have two virtual machines in the development environment. And there are also no clusters, as you can see in the. So yeah, in QAs, they go with 3 virtual machines, and they already do the clusters for the storefront and for the back office. So background processing, basically, and API stay with one node. And for production, it's clusters everywhere. And of course, this is again a reference, like a starting point, right? Like a standard. But if your customer has a requirement for 1 million orders per day or something like that, they of course will scale it up. Because again, you are not paying for number of servers, you're paying for number of orders or the revenue you are generating. Potentially, what they're also looking, if they see, I'm not sure will it work or not, but what they state that potentially they're also going to do automatic scaling. So if you see there is not enough basically nodes, they could scale it up if this is within your license agreement, of course. If this is not, you need to do a new license agreement, and basically, yeah, then they will scale it up. And if you have a big campaign which might bring extra load, you might need to contact SAP proactively to say, please scale it up. I'm preparing some big campaign. I need some extra servers for this 2 weeks, for example, like Black Friday, as an example. Okay, demo. Out. Okay, demo, where is Commerce Cloud? This is Commerce Cloud, so we are in our subscription. What we will start with usually, of course, is a repository. So as mentioned, we have our project in our Bitbucket repository, right? You could also see it here. Here it is. So we basically say to Commerce Cloud, hey, this is our repository, and it supports SSH, HTTPS, but only Git at the moment.
Can you please do the zoom in?
Zoom out. Better? Yeah, thanks. Yeah, so you connect your repository, right? So Commerce Cloud knows what to do. And then we can take a look at the environment. So in our case, yeah, we are, in that sense, we are not unlucky. We are not able to test all features. Basically, SAP has provisioned for us only one environment because it's a trial license. We've been giving that for free by SAP at the moment. For the customers, there should be a create button, which would allow actually provision new environments like dev, QA, prod. Maybe you need a pre-prod, you can provision that, but then you need to pay extra probably. So your license agreement will say how many environments you can provision, but in case if you need extra, you could also do that within this tool. Yeah, we go to our environment, and when you provision environment, you have such things as locale, time zone, name, and type. So yeah, that would be basically development, quality, and production environments. What do we have else? We'll touch maybe this later. Then we have the build, so we can start the build, and I will not start the build now because it takes like 24 minutes. But basically, I give the name and then I give the tag, so or the branch. So I can say like master, as I was doing earlier. We have master branch only. Then the name I build. Maybe I'll start. It works. So technical spaces build master. And I guess one of the other reasons why it takes so long time, because it seems that at the beginning it schedules this build and it doesn't execute it immediately, and then it takes like 4 or 5 minutes before it even starts the build process. But yeah, we can see the builds, we can see the statuses, yeah, and we can, I guess, also go in the failed ones, and also, yeah, Yeah, we can also download the build log and see the details what was happening there. I'll also open this build log just for you guys to see how it looks. So yeah, it's basically, so we can see kind of their internal build processes. There was a version, checking Java version.
They are using Gradle?
I guess so. If you recognize that, then you know better than I do.
Yeah, first.
Yeah, they have this task, so you can see, okay, they're starting some tasks, so evaluate core commerce services and images and so on. So you can see basically how this task is going, and then you can potentially, if you want to dig later on, you could also find a bit more how their build engine actually works based on this log. Okay. Yeah, and when build is done, I can deploy it to one of the environments. So basically just select the target environment, and then the deploy process starts, which, as you can guess, also takes not 5 minutes, right? Or 3 minutes. So also, I had some nice experience with that. I will share it.
Can you deploy failed builds?
No, I think it will not allow it. So it's not completely, it's a bit smart.
Yeah.
But I would say a bit, because a bit smart, yeah. Good. What else? Coming maybe back to other features. So security. So filter set. So I can say what I can apply basically multiple IP filters. And IP filters could look something like. Yeah, it looks basically a list of IP addresses and the masks you specify, so the system knows to whom allow the access. SSL certificates, then trusted certificates if you need to import some into your GKS like Trustor, and host aliases. We have this. Yes.
Where do you store the production secrets? You don't want to store in the repeat.
So there are a few options. One thing you can do, you can just go to environment, and there is a service configuration, and you can just upload it here. Another option, yeah, this is of course, let me remember, how was it? I don't remember. There was another option where you could specify the secret, but then you expose it partially. You partially expose it. I think, yeah. Then if you don't want to expose it, I think the safest way is to do it through here. So you go like to your node, and then, yeah, I think I had some. Yeah, and you specify basically the secret property, so it will be available then only. Another option I remembered. Another option was that you have static files. You could upload files through here. There's a special pattern how to store security, so it's not exposed like through the web server. And then I think you could reference through the manifest into here. There were some, so you could dig into help, so I don't want to lie too much, but I remember two options was through static file upload, another one was through this environment. Okay, security we went through. Then the static files, yes, the static files, so it could be robots, sitemap, also custom error pages, like 503, for example, you could also upload here. And then, yes, security was also part of that. Storefront availability, again, we are not able to test it because this is available only for production environment. We have only development environment, so it's not enabled. So when you have your production environment, you will have a button, I'm live. You press that button, meaning that Commerce Cloud know your customer is live now, and then it will start tracking the availability of your website. But basically, it will have some charts showing how much this environment is available. And user management, yeah, this is the place, guys, where I will be adding you. So those who will apply, but will come to the application process a bit later. So we can add you guys here, and you can also get access to this new thing. Some other things about environments, maybe what, yeah, we have the endpoints, right? So we have the aspects as we talked. So we have API aspect, we have a back office, JavaScript storefront, logging is basically access to this Kibana stack. We have background processing, Solr, and the storefront. And We can configure each endpoint individually. As an example, if I go to my storefront now, right? So I have the SSL certificate, I have this IP filters, I can also apply this redirect rules. It's also possible, which might be useful for the campaigns. And I can also upload like static files. I can delete endpoints, or I could put endpoints to the maintenance mode. So maybe let's take a look how the storefront looks. So this is a deployed storefront in the cloud, basically vanilla commerce. And yeah, I can put it, for example, in the maintenance mode. Yeah, and then it goes, so it takes a while. And you can see, yeah, this is a custom 503 page, which was also uploaded through the static file. So this is like a customized. So I had the static file zip with the custom 503 page. So you kind of can also customize this aspect within the Commerce Cloud.
How about the direct access to SSH? Is it possible to log in and get retrieve memory dump?
Memory dump you could do only through the hack apparently at the moment. Maybe they will do something through here, but no direct access to the servers. So this is like one big limitation comparing how we work now.
What about monitoring?
Yeah, I'll come to that. So they have the Dynatrace, so this is built in. Okay, other parts. So yeah, this is basically endpoints. Then the hold folders, that's a cloud storage. So since it's running on the Azure, you get a separate block storage, and then you can upload your hot folder, basically Impex files, which could be executed by the platform automatically. You can also do the snapshot. So if you want to make a snapshot on your environment, you can do that. And then when you have your snapshot, you can also deploy it on another environment, which is kind of handy. So if, let's say, you do some want to do some refresh potentially from production to QA, you could do the snapshot from production and then restore it on the QA or on the new provisioned environment, for example, if you want to test something. Of course, such things as anonymization and other GDPR stuff you need to handle yourself. Deployment configuration, to be honest, I'm not sure what it is. So maybe guys, next time you will you know more about what it is, but I can't answer. Seems like something related. Yeah, I don't know. You guys check it out. And service configuration we already went through. So this is a place where you can add some extra properties files. And also when you get your environment initialized for the first time, you will also get admin password here. So it's not Nimda, it's generated during the installation. Yeah, maybe we can also access to the hack, just to show you that it's there. Yeah, so Commerce Cloud running for 2 weeks, and basically, yeah, that's a kind of classical hack thing. You all guys familiar, or girls?
It's still hybrid.
Yeah, it's all old hybrids, and yeah, you can see these are my extensions I built, right? So this is not fake. This is a real extensions which are included by the build from the Git repository, right? So Commerce Cloud, yeah, this is a real environment, not PowerPoint. So it's real. Anything else to mention or something I forgot?
You have only single node, right?
Yeah, we have single node at the moment, yes, because it's a trial environment. Because of course it costs money to SAP, and of course they will make it as cheap as possible. Yeah, the build is.
Multiple nodes, so most likely we will not see from here. We'll have one.
Nodes, yeah, nodes we a bit better join a bit later, but from the node perspective, yeah, you don't see kind of. Actually, we had the cluster right somewhere here. Where was the cluster? Yeah, so it's 4 nodes here, right? This is a dev environment, 4 nodes. And if you go to dev, these are these 4 nodes. This is the storefront node, this is the back office node, this is the back office processing, background processing. Should be background processing from the back office. And API. So these are 4 nodes. But I guess if you go to production, like QA, but we don't have it because it's a trial, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 nodes. If we go to prod, it's 3, 2, 2, 2, 6, 6, 12, 6, 9. Right? 9 nodes. Plus solar nodes. Yes. Okay. Still building, right? So it's also not fake, so it takes time. Yeah, I can share my experience. So when I first built that, and I wanted my build finally has built. It's build number 5. It was not the first one, but it was successfully built. So I wanted to deploy it to environment, and of course, technically, of course, my database is not initialized, right? But Commerce Cloud gives me still options. I want to deploy. I want to deploy with downtime, with rolling update database and deploy, and so on, right? So I thought, okay, I'll just do a quick one, and then I'll initialize from Hack, something like that. So I select deploy with downtime. So yeah, probably just do the deployment, and I'll go to Hack and do initialization, right? As I do locally. Yeah, and then I get basically this thing hanging up like forever. So it just stopped on 25%, and I started like at 7 in the morning, right? And then I think, yeah, I was in the office, and then at lunch it was still hanging at the same percent. So then I opened the incident to the Commerce Cloud team, and then of course they stopped this process manually, basically. But unfortunately, me as a developer, I didn't have control of that. So I couldn't do anything. So the best thing I could do, I could open the incident to support team, and then they basically replied with that. So this is when I guess this is not too advanced yet. It would be very nice if it would not allow features which actually don't work, right? So kind of to do it more foolproof, like for me in this case. And I guess, yeah, this is maybe where SAP team has some extra tools where they can stop stuff like admin UI, which we don't get access to. Probably they use. Another thing, what things seems, which I also noticed, they also are building how it's CLI, right? This command line interface that you could. There is also, I think, open source project built by someone that you could execute all these activities, like start, build, do deployment, and so on. I don't remember whether I included it in the slides, but you can also, if you Google, you will find it. It's in one of the Bitbucket or somewhere, basically. So you could also take a look at it. Okay, so I guess interesting question, how to get started, right? I want to say thank you, first of all, to our certified guys, because of the certified guys, we would not be able to play with this nice Commerce Cloud now. Because to get access to Commerce Cloud, we needed to prove to SAP that we are certified. So we needed to show our SAP Commerce certification, and this was prerequisite to get that access to a year's time. So now, also important, we got the access for Perl Latvia, and technically very likely it will mean that only S users from Perl Latvia can get access to. So we either, if we want to get someone from Ukraine or Norway, we either, I guess, we can try with a Norwegian whether it works. I didn't try yet. But if it doesn't work, we either need to, basically ask Ivita to create you guys or girls local Perl Latvia S user, and then you could apply with that. What we also try to do now, we also try to certify in Norway, because this subscription is given for a year, and this offer that you get it for free is available till end of September. So basically, our goal is that we can get another provisioned environment for Norway by the end of September. So we have like a longer time we could play around with the Commerce Cloud if we don't get customer by that time. So guys and girls, I really motivate you also to apply for the SAP Commerce certification. Of course, technically it's not a kind of prerequisite, but if we other guys would not apply and would not have done that, we will not be able to have opportunity now to play with this nice Commerce Cloud. So please, let's help each other. Let's apply for certification. And yeah, the next thing, just send me your S user an email, and I could easily add you to the Commerce Cloud so you could play around with that. Yes, some useful links like video tutorials. So this is nice portal if you haven't seen it. So there are a lot of nice videos. So you could also learn from those videos as a starting point. Then there is a help portal. So also please check that. And yeah, this is a CLI actually. It's added here. So it's on GitHub. So you can also take a look at this. So they also have the roadmap. So as I mentioned, they want to automate more things like VPN. They want to make it like more automatic. They do need to involve basically SAP team and other stuff. Another thing which I probably forgotten but might be also interesting, of course, when you start the provisioning of an environment, you have a chance to decide where to host it. So it's not like SAP decides randomly if your servers are in Sweden and then they put you in Mexico and you get the Commerce Cloud in Mexico. That would not make sense. So you have some flexibility. Tacos, yeah, you get only tacos, but no orders from ERP system. But yeah, so there is some flexibility on that as well. Okay, any questions on Commerce Cloud? Because we are switching to similar, another commerce product, cloud product, but not a Commerce Cloud as such.
Are there any customers using it predictive, like as a production environment for Commerce Cloud?
Yeah, actually, I guess we were surprised because when we went even last October to Barcelona on this summit, apparently by that time there were quite a few customers already using Commerce Cloud. And the Commerce Cloud version 2 is there was prior to that, there was like a version kind of 1 when they didn't have any self-service portal, but it was just SAP environment. And basically then you were talking through OSS nodes, and then more or less it was done all manually. So in this case, there was like zero benefit because you need to just talk everything through the S users. If you want to scale, do deployment, you prefer the zips files, place on the FTP server. So it was like complete disaster.
This runs only on HANA, right? Or is there...
This runs on Azure database. It's MS SQL basically. So it's only MS SQL. I don't. Maybe Sergey can point out how it's called. It's not like Azure's MS SQL, like RDS similar. Okay, we'll move on next. So this is just like a brief insight what it is, because there are a lot of different terms. The goal is not to talk deep dive on that. So Yanis already took the initiative of that. He will do another technical spaces sometime later when we analyze this solution better. But just to give a high insight what it is. So now we talked about Commerce Cloud, right? And this is this box. So we have Spartacus, which is this box basically, right? So we have Azure at the bottom, where we actually host our system, right? And then we have a CPI, so this is integration platform, like similar to PO or Data Hub, basically. And on the right side, we have this Cloud Platform Extension Factory. So very briefly, we'll talk about that. So basically, that's a separate instance, also run in the cloud, where you can customize the commerce solution. So basically, you can either trigger some events from the commerce or from other system to the Cloud Platform Extension Factory, and you can trigger some lambdas, trigger some scripts within this, let's say to process the data. For example, you want to track how many orders, stupid example, but still, how many orders you are getting daily. Then when order is placed, you get an event order placed, and you just count how many orders you got through some time span. Stupid example, bad use case, but just to give an insight. So one thing is event. This is like asynchronous, and of course you can also possibly also have a service call, so you can do stuff like synchronously. So for example, you might have some pricing service which would change the standard pricing logic within Commerce Cloud on the Cloud Platform Extension Factory. And Cloud Platform Extension Factory is the same thing as you might heard earlier called Kima, right? So it's the same thing as just renamed now. And the vision from SAP, so it's will be the solution where you extend C4 products, right? So it's not only about commerce, it's actually also about sales, service, and marketing. And today the commerce is in production mode, so you can use it in production already with Schema. But for sales, service, and marketing, it's like in POC mode. So when we get the Cloud Platform Extension Factory, we need to test it like with the commerce, but we also need to test what are capabilities extending C4C and marketing. Okay. Yeah, and this is how it kind of looks again on high level. There are some documentation in Help. You can also in Help SAP, so you can also read it in Help Hybrids basically. So you just search.
Schema and this extension factory. Extension factory is just a sub name
For Schema.
for Schema, but Schema is a separate product. Basically, SAP has built on top of it another set of services, also hosting and whatever.
Yeah.
Actually, couldn't you set up also your Schema, your environment?
This is what Yanis will try to do. So we have some, because idea with Schema, as we figured out so far, that like with Commerce Cloud, right, SAP gives you everything. So they give you the Commerce Cloud with provisioned environments, you just come, connect to Git, and you're ready to go. With Schema, they give access to the so-called C4HANA cockpit, and they have like a provisioning environment for Schema, but you need to create your subscription. You are the customer of Perl subscription in Amazon or in Azure, because they don't provide the hosting. So you pay for your subscription, and then you say in the C4HANA cockpit, this is my subscription, please provision Schema. And then this cockpit will provision Schema on your subscription in Azure, GCP.
This is the only way, probably.
Yeah, it's called buy your own license. No, is it something by BYOL?
You cannot set up.
Bring your own license. Anyway. Bring your own license. Yeah. At least this is again. Yanis will do more deeper look. I just did it like on a higher level, but we are a bit stuck now because we don't get access to the C4HANA cockpit, and we are now in touch with SAP just to understand why. Because we got access to Commerce Cloud, and this Commerce Cloud access should give access to all capabilities and all extensions. So it's some kind of, I don't know, legal or some, because they also launched all this thing, I think, in the beginning of July, this for free stuff. So it's kind of, I think, also new for SAP at the moment.
Can you go 2 slides back? What's the difference between this cloud platform integration and extension, platform extension?
Yeah, this is like CPI, SAP CPI, like SAP PO, you know? So this is like a cloud PO, this thing. So this is how you integrate with SAP stacks like ERP, CRM, S4HANA. Not only, no, also others, but they have pre-bundled integrations from CPI to marketing, sales, service, and all stuff. But it also could be, I guess, something.
And then this extension, what does it do extra, or is it completely different?
Another system.
Yeah, because here, this guy here can inject in your processes within the Commerce Cloud or Marketing Cloud.
Many processes, or it's like API based?
It's API based.
Still API.
I think it's API based.
Which is
Events and
So for commerce, they did support for all abstract events. So all, I think, abstract events you have today, they go to Schema, and you can receive data, you can call REST API, get the data of orders, other stuff, and then you can do the business stuff. They also, I think I saw some videos where they say about this pricing service, other stuff, but I'm not sure whether it's available for production use, or it's like some their in-house SAP's environments where they did it, like a, how they call it, preview mode. Yes, I'm not sure. But this is also, yeah, I think let's wait maybe for Yanis to come with more details, because I don't know all capabilities. But the idea is how it differs, answering your question, Juris. This basically is integration platform, API, just classical integration platform in the cloud. And this is a way how to enhance your kind of business processes within solutions. At least the goal is like that. How it's usable, we'll find out. Yanis will do some tests. And when we get the access. Did I answer?
Yeah.
Kind of.
More details, but yeah.
Yeah, stay tuned. Yeah, and this is some screenshot. So you write some code on Schema. So this is Lambda on Schema, which outputs the order number. something like that, which you receive through events. If you want actually to see, you can also go like to enablement CX. Remember this link? Enable.cx.sap. There are some videos where guys really, it's like 1 hour video where they say, okay, we are going to use Kima now to make this process. And then they do development in Kima. They show the storefront. Kima gets the data. Then they show how this data is saved like in some Kima database. And then they also show how the storefront logic changes. So if you're interested, we don't have real environment, but you can learn like from the video how what the guys are doing. And it's really like a tech videos. So this is a good like link, I think, to start the journey. Okay, any questions on this one? It's lots of cloud products actually, apparently already there. Another cloud product which I personally thought is somewhere in the long future, but apparently you can also provision that. Unfortunately, no free license. Its demo costs like 1,500 euro something per month. But it's also possible, yeah. So it's existing. I mean, what I want to say, it's existing. It's not on the slides. It's there. But I will show on the slides only. Sorry, we will not just spend 10,000 just to them. No, it's yeah. Okay, so this is like a real SaaS offering for the PIM. And basically it's based on the SAP Commerce Backoffice PIM. But of course, because it's SaaS, it has limited customization capabilities. So no possibility to link your source code, no possibility to do things like that. I think the only thing you can do is you can customize your UI. So basically you can, there are some windows where you can use backoffice XML, write backoffice XMLs, right? I want to hide that field, I want to include this field and so on. So it's backoffice XML, if you're familiar with it. But this is getting a bit interesting. Like, I mean, interesting from the strategy-wise from SAP, because what they actually have done, they said we have this cloud tool, right? And we give 2 exclusive features for the cloud tool which doesn't exist on-prem. So if you would open normally this product hub, you would see like well-known back-office product cockpit, more or less, right? But SAP added like 2 features. So one feature is kind of understandable because it's a cloud solution. You need to have some capabilities to customize the data models you have, right? To add some additional attributes and things like that, and create subtypes for products and so on. And another thing is the data feed manager. So they teamed up with Product Sub, which is a separate product which allows basically to export information like to marketplaces and to other different platforms. So they kind of, this is a hub of different integrations to different systems. So also there's a separate documentation for this. You can also read about that. But in essence, yeah, it has the basics. It's managing products, managing catalogs, categories, classification, synchronization, workflows, and data modeling. So this is the product hub. Yeah, so we have a product content hub, different APIs. Product sub has the data, and then it can send the data to the different parties, which these guys take care of already. Yeah, and this is how it looks. So this is a product content hub, right? So really, this is in essence back office product cockpit. But you see, there's 2 new things which you will not find on prem version. These 2 icons. So this is a new features which are available only in the cloud version. And yeah, this is what I mentioned about customization. So you can write this back office XML configs if you want to change layouts of your input fields and so on. But of course,
They are gone after restart building.
hopefully not. That would be a disaster. Okay. Any questions about this? Alexander sits right. Pearl group. Okay, then last slide, I guess. Last slides before Alexander takes over. So release strategy. So Alexander will talk about Spartacus, but apparently it's 2 weekly. So it's quite frequent, right? So Spartacus releases are getting quite frequent now. And SAP is also doing, of course, upgrades and maintenance and new features for their Commerce Cloud Automation Engine and portal. And this is done monthly, and this is automatic. So here, of course, is a risk if SAP is changing something in their build engine, right, which might impact existing customers, and you might need to redeploy, do something like that. They might ask and pre-agree with you on some downtime when they can release their changes. So, of course, this is a slight change, but at least based on the info I found, it seems they're kind of going, helping you out. So it's not that, say, we are releasing tomorrow, fuck off, we are just doing that and we don't care. So no, they kind of try to be open and align with you time when it's convenient for you or your customers. SAP Commerce Cloud extension packs. This is something also new. So in essence, these are basically features of SAP Commerce which are not included in the on-prem version. Technically, these are just some new extensions, some new capabilities, but they are not part of SAP Commerce, let's say 1905. And of course, again, the downside that these features are available only for Commerce public cloud. So when you have a public cloud, you are eligible legally to use those extensions. If you're on-prem, you are not allowed to use those extensions. And yeah, thank you to Alex. Thanks a lot to Alexander. He found also official information that SAP Commerce, based on the roadmap frequency, will be decreased to annual releases. And of course, idea is that we have monthly releases with Commerce Cloud extension packs with new features, right? So you get new features frequently, but if you're on the prem, it's not that frequent then. And yeah, here they are. So this is SAP Commerce, so this is what we work with, and these are SAP Commerce Cloud extension packs. So these are optional extensions which could be installed on top, basically.
Can you open the presentation?
Okay, I just have some other slides here. And just again, give like a baseline for you guys. So these are normal extensions, and when you develop locally, you will go to downloads and you will download them. So yeah, this is like a Commerce Cloud extension pack, basically 1905, right? So you can see you can download it. If you want some new features, you use it locally, you test it locally. But of course, legally, like unfortunately, we're also trying to solve it. We still don't get access to those extension packs because we are like working with on-prem systems. So this file is not available for Perl to be downloaded to them. So this is how they are limiting, right? If you didn't have public cloud, you just don't get access to those extensions, and legally you're not allowed to do that. Of course, technically you could run them because they are just normal extensions. I'll just briefly show you all these things here. So these are this Commerce Cloud extension packs. So if you go to SAP help, right, you can see them, and like some features which have been added, let's say in June. So there is this new S/4HANA for customer management, for example, module. So this new integration have been added, right? Some email notifications, some new marketing cloud integrations, for example, and so on. Sales order simulation module. Also new features which are not available in the 1905 version. So yeah, there are some certain set of features which will be added in that sense, and which will be available only for cloud users. And yeah, this is the official slide which Alexander has found. Thank you very much. Yeah, and you can see its annual releases here, and those cloud extension packs.
Read the last one. Can be deployed on premises or request those features.
Which one? This one?
So basically, all these new functionalities can be released on premises by request.
Okay, case by case basis. You mean this one?
Price tag.
E-commerce on-premise annual releases on a case-by-case cases. So of course this also might mean that from all these cloud platform extension packs, SAP will decide that only 10 features or 20 features will be included in the next on-prem version as well, right? But apparently, of course, yeah, I agree that we don't know for sure how it will look like, but it's a bit scary, at least if you look like from the side what is happening to on-prem customers. Okay, so I hope, guys, you now have this clear picture of all cloud offerings from SAP in the commerce field. Maybe some questions?
Will they be using these cloud users as a test users, like test all the new features to fix the bugs?
Come again? You mean real customers?
Very new features, some very unstable, and so the cloud users will get them, right?
Again, you control if you want these new features in your manifest file. So you say, if I don't want these features, you just include them in the manifest file, basically.
On-prem, you will get a stable version.
Yeah, it's good news. After 10 years. 3 years.
Local. Вот, tu online droši skaties. Yes, unless there are no questions. Thank you.
Tev tas atkārtos?
Nē. Problēma tāda.
Nesagās.
Redzu, ka SMS shock message.
Can we continue? Please. Yeah. I have like 10 minutes.
10 minutes? Your presentation's 10 minutes, so you have 10 minutes. Guys, refill. Take the. Let's continue.
Okay, let's continue. Peteris. So basically what Pavels was saying, here's a good image explaining the release strategy. So you can see that plan for Spartacus is to have every second week releases. Then that product hub should be like monthly, same with context-driven services, and then this cloud extension packs. So those, what you can see in that image, that include everything what is that cloud extension packs. So yeah, it's all integrations with marketing, sales, and services, and all related to that. So this is explaining good image how they plan to have releases for the cloud version. And as Pavel said, on premises it will be yearly. So the next 1905 will be 2005. We can see already actually in Hybris Jira that the next version is market 2005. So the next version will be only after 1 year for the on-premise version, except some hotfixes, but they have monthly. So some information regarding Spartacus. Right now it's live. You can download it from GitHub. It's live from July, like stable version. The whole main functionality is there. Homepage, header, footer, search, autocomplete for the search, all that functionality is there and can be already used now. They plan to have all capabilities what they have right now in the storefront till the end of this year. So basically, for example, assistant service manager will be only the end of the year available in Spartacus. And all you can see the list of the functionality what they plan to have in the future this year. And also they plan to start working on B2B storefront for the Spartacus. And also it includes all related accelerators like finance and telco. They will have also Spartacus version, and in all roadmaps for those accelerators, it's mentioned that they will start extending OCC extension to have all those capabilities what those accelerators provide. They will be like included and developed till the end of this year. So everything is moving towards Spartacus integration into Hybris ecosystem. Do you have some questions regarding this slide? Some functionalities?
As it mentions down there, so it releases every 2 weeks. So when something will be ready for developers.
Yes, exactly. It's available in GitHub. They have in GitHub those releases every second week. Already now they are available. Basically, you can go to the GitHub, download it, and include like generate your project. A little bit about Spartacus architecture if someone doesn't know. So basically, it's like Angular released like Angular libraries. You can download them and include like from npm, and you can extend all those libraries with your functionality. It's not like with the old accelerator what you were like generating and then editing the generated content and all controllers. You are like modifying already generated code, but now you'll be always referencing to the original library, and those libraries can be updated when that's released on GitHub. So you always can have up-to-date version with npm update. It will download the latest libraries, and then you can continue extending those functionalities. So all hotfixes, all changes to the Spartacus libraries will be available publicly on the GitHub. So this is the main advantage comparing to the old accelerator, that all changes you are not overwriting with the generated storefront, but you are extending them from the original code what SAP or its open source community is providing to you. And so yeah, Spartacus is an open source project in GitHub. They have also Slack group where there's like 700 people in that one channel. So you can ask always their question and someone is always answering. Everything related to Spartacus, implementing new components and configuring that. So if you're interested in that, you can join that Slack group. I will share the link. Also, like SAP right now is officially like suggesting if you're setting up new site and you don't have anything like from previous accelerator, you should choose to use Spartacus. Even if it's now not everything, not all functionality is there, but the SAP is suggesting you to start using this new Spartacus storefront, and then if you're not having, don't have the previous accelerator, you should not use the old one. So this is like officially from the SAP. Also, while like Spartacus is good from SAP side of the point, you can easily change the code. As Pavel said regarding the deployment on the cloud automation, it's not really true because he was showing the build time including Commerce. But the Spartacus can be deployed on the Commerce Cloud system in a different node and only without the Commerce. So in that case, the build time should be smaller.
Are you sure?
Yes, they are like...
Because you can deploy one build on one environment. Then you need to have separate environment.
Separate node.
In that case, you don't have nodes, you have environments in the Commerce.
Yeah, I mean, environment. At least at least they mentioned that it can be separate, and then it should be faster to have releases.
We should test it out on our instance.
Yep, definitely. And also, like, why are they suggesting the Spartacus? It's already compatible with SmartEdit. With the latest version 19.05, you can open the Spartacus storefront in the SmartEdit and see all changes there live. So I have in this slides few links where you can read more about Spartacus. And then recommendations from SAP to choose which storefront to use. Also, like recently, I noted in release notes that there's like plan to have something like smart content service. This is something interesting, new functionality that content managers will be able to dynamically create content types for like different content, like news articles and article pages with different like what's like inside content, like images and descriptions. You can define that, and based on that, you will have editor like Cockpit to edit and add new like content there. So this is also related to Spartacus, that SAP plans to extend the functionality how the CMS content will be managed. The plan is that content manager will be able to create some custom item types, and then there will be Cockpit for the editors to just log in and enter only that content and publish that. So this is
like defining some template of the page.
exactly. And this is like in some future plans I saw in the latest releases. So this is something interesting that they are working on. So in case some customer needs some additional content articles, most probably we should wait until this is out and ready. We should not implement something new. Yes, I think more or less that's it from me. Do you have any questions?
Yes, I have.
Yes.
So is it cloud only?
What, Spartacus?
Yeah.
No, you can deploy it on everywhere. You can deploy on your server and then integrate with the public APIs from your commerce.
Any news on the SEO?
Yes, they plan to have right now. So where's the mouse? So they plan to have server-side rendering. It's not yet there. Not sure why it's put there. They plan to have server-side rendering, so they will also provide some, I don't know yet how, but they plan to have server-side that will be generating content for the view. So basically, if I don't know, maybe it's not anywhere mentioned what will be running the server-side. Right now, Google indexes the storefront JavaScript, but like all other services, search services doesn't understand JavaScript yet. So the server-side rendering is important for basically all other indexing services except Google. And that server-side rendering, yes, they plan to have that support until this end of the year. They plan, at least another release notes it was mentioned. And
More or less Q4, it should have good B2C support, right?
yeah, yeah.
So next year.
Next year.
Q4 means December 31st.
The license will always be open source, or have you?
Right now, yes, they plan to have it open source, so any kind of third party can look at it, do changes, and build like additional library for some client. So at least they officially ever read that it should be public.
Is it also free or just open source?
Let's skip licensing questions.
Okay.
Any more questions?
Any demos?
You want to have the demo?
Yes.
It's available on GitHub.
You have it on your computer.
The latest version they have. Maybe
demo videos at least?
Yeah, definitely. They have it. Okay, I can't find the link right now. But all the videos are available on this Enable6 subcom site. Oh, so
Are there any plans to support some other CMS systems? Like
from SAP, no, but they're like willing to see how it integrates with some WordPress and all other content management systems. But basically, yeah, this is the Spartacus storefront.
Can you only use it for starting new projects, or you can somehow integrate it in existing projects?
If you have 1905, officially 1905, that has OCC changes that needs for the Spartacus right now.
Can you create some parts, say, old style and some parts?
Definitely, yes. Some in Slack they are discussing this. Some customers are asking to have different routing for the old accelerator and the new one. So there are like random suggestions, basically using subdomains. They're suggesting to easily separate completely different environments. Yes, but you should have 1905 commerce version. So the OCC, all APIs are there. Kahoot.
Let's check out what?
Should. Yeah, you have.
You have Kahoot as well, or?
No.
Team mode? No. What's that? Okay. Can start? No. Okay, ready to start?
Is it raining tomorrow?
No, you don't need internet connection because you're developing locally, as you know. So it's not like SAP where for cloud solution you need to connect to cloud to work with that. So you still do development locally of the new features.
Cloud without cloud.
Next. 8D was the first one. 8 equals D. Yes, they have been. So this is was the Commerce Cloud version 2 when it was hosted in the private cloud of SAP. So when SAP was doing all deployments and all configurations, basically. You can also find on the help. So there is a public Commerce Cloud and private cloud in SAP infrastructure. So that's the first point of the CCV1, basically. 8 equals D.
15.
Yeah, so all versions starting from 6.7 are supported by CCV2. That's correct. The leader. Who is that?
Cheater.
Cheater. Yeah, that's true. So when before signing the agreement, you will be suggested locations, and you can decide where to host it. So also when we got our subscription, we chose the closest one, the only one actually in Europe. So our subscription hosted in Netherlands. The rest was like Mexico. I think Mexico was one of the options. Oh, that's some new leader. Yeah, SAP will not force you upgrade your commerce platform. So when you deploy in the manifest file, you actually provide explicitly which commerce platform version you're running on. So the build process will know it and build correspondingly. It doesn't use local extensions, although you can reference it in the manifest file. Yeah, it's all mentioned. So media conversion is not supported, and if you remember, also synchronous order management was not supported, and also invoice retrieval from S4 system was also not supported. So the all mentioned is the correct answer. Yeah, 4 is correct. So it's storefront, back office, background processing, and API. Actually, if you look in the documentation, there is also an admin aspect, but it does not appear in provisioning schemas.
So aspect is no.
It's a bit bigger. So aspect is
Previously, there was a concept called node role.
node role in the CCV2 or in the beginning. Or? Ah, node role. Okay, so this is node role. Yeah, this is exactly node role. Yeah. So in one aspect you can have multiple nodes. Then you have a cluster. Let's say in the storefront you want to have 3 nodes. So it will be 3 nodes within that aspect. Just like a model. So the role is it. Yeah, it's all C4 applications. So at the moment, the SAP Commerce productive use and preview mode is already for sales service and also marketing. So it's all C4 stack. Yeah, that's a flexible type view. So all the rest you will find also in the on-prem version if you open the product back office product cockpit. And I guess the last one. public record. So that's extensions which can be used only by public cloud customers only. And the winner is Sina J. Okay, thank you guys and girls. Hope you enjoyed it and enjoy the weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Jāni var.
Yeah.